Have you ever scrolled through social media or read an article about someone who retired at 50 and thought to yourself, how on earth did they do that? They must have got lucky, maybe they inherited some money, or even won the lottery. It's a pretty common thought. The idea of retiring before 62 can feel like a very far-off dream that's reserved only for the top select few. But what if I told you it's not about luck? What if it's about a specific mindset, a set of financial moves, and a very clear roadmap that almost anyone can follow? In today's video, I'm breaking down the most common strategies used by people who successfully retire before age 62. I've spent years studying how early retirees actually make it work, not in theory, but in practice. And after analyzing the data from over 1,000 retirees, working with countless clients, and reviewing dozens of real financial plans, certain patterns have become absolutely impossible to ignore. I'm going to walk you through what they did differently, how you can apply those same strategies, and why retiring before age 62 might be more realistic than you think, even if you feel like you're behind. If you're new to the channel, my name is Cody Gunn. I'm a financial advisor and the founder of Arrowstone Wealth, where we help clients retire by optimizing their investments and minimizing their taxes. And with that, let's dive in. So before we even touch on the numbers, the savings rates and the investment accounts, we have to start where they started, with their mindset. This is the foundation. And after all my research, I found 3 core beliefs that set these retirees apart from everyone else. First, these retirees didn't just focus on saving more. They focused on designing a lifestyle that costs less. Think about the standard approach to retirement planning. It's usually income minus savings equals what you have left over to fund your lifestyle. You earn a certain amount, you try to save 15 to 20%, and you live on the rest. Early retirees flip that equation on its head. They start with the lifestyle they want, figure out what that intentionally designed life costs, and then they save everything else. Their equation is income minus their fulfilling lifestyle equals a massive savings rate. This matters because it reframes the entire goal. Early retirement isn't about being rich in the traditional sense. It's about being so intentional with your life that you no longer need massive income to fund it. You need less so you can stop working sooner. The second trait is how they viewed work. Most people see retirement as a cliff. You work full-time, 40 hours a week for 40 years, and then one day you stop. Cold turkey, you're done. The early retirees I studied saw it differently. They saw it as a gradual transition. They embraced the idea of flexible or part-time work, maybe to do some consulting or start a small passion project that brought in some income. They built what is called a work-optional life. This is a complete game changer. By planning for a semi-retirement phase where they might earn somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000 a year, doing something they enjoy, they can dramatically lower the amount of money they needed from their nest egg. This simple mental shift makes retiring from your primary career by 62 or even sooner far more realistic than the average person realizes. And the third trait, and probably the most important, is they were adaptable. They didn't have a perfect plan that was rigid, that they followed for 20 years without changing anything. Life doesn't work that way. The market sells off, you have unexpected expenses, you change your mind about where you want to live. All of these things can happen in your early years of retirement. Successful early retirees didn't wait for the perfect time to start and have every single detail mapped out along the way. They built a plan and they treated it like a GPS. They hit a roadblock or a detour. They didn't give up and go back to work full time. The plan simply recalculated a new route. They stayed flexible and they adjusted their spending, their savings rate, and their timeline to meet the situations that they faced along the way. This is really key because early retirement isn't a one-time decision you make. It's a dynamic plan that you manage over time. So now that we understand the mindset that early retirees had, designing their lifestyle, being flexible with work, and staying adaptable, let's take a look at the specific financial actions they took to make it all work. So what did these early retirees actually aim for? While the old 4% rule is a decent starting point, my research, supported by data from firms like Fidelity, shows that early retirees need to be more conservative. They're planning for long retirements, could last 30, 40, even 50 years if you live to be 100. The benchmark they overwhelmingly aimed for was having 33 times their annual expenses saved. This allows for a more conservative 3% initial withdrawal rate in those early years. Your actual withdrawal rate will vary depending on how much you have saved. So if you plan to live on $60,000 a year in retirement, your target isn't $1.5 million, which is the 4% rule. It's $60,000 times 33, which is about $2 million. This gives you a much bigger buffer against market volatility and inflation over a long retirement. It's a clear conservative target that builds on a very resilient plan. Next, where did they actually save this money? This is so important for early retirement. They didn't just pile everything into their 401k. They used a combination of accounts. They maxed out their tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks and IRAs for long-term tax-deferred growth. They also took advantage of health savings accounts, which are like a super IRA, which are triple tax-advantaged. But crucially, they also built up a healthy balance in a taxable brokerage account. But why? Because you can't easily access your 401k or IRA money before age 59 and a half without penalties. Their brokerage account is their bridge fund. It provides a flexible, accessible money they need to live on in their 50s before their official retirement accounts are unlocked. And finally, how did they reduce the pressure on those big savings numbers? They made some conscious trade-offs. The most powerful levers they pulled were on the biggest expenses: housing, transportation, and even food. Many of them downsized their homes when their kids left. Some moved from a high-cost area like California or New York to a more affordable state. This single move could cut their required nest egg by hundreds of thousands of dollars, effectively shaving years off the retirement timeline. They understood that it's easier to cut expenses by 25% by moving than it is to save an extra 25% from your paycheck. These are the kinds of powerful decisions that accelerate their timeline. If you want to know what this kind of plan could look like in your life, click the link below in the description and fill out the questionnaire that I put together. After you complete it, I'll send you a personalized video giving you actionable advice for your personal retirement plan. Okay, so we have the mindset and the financial tools. Now let's walk through the actual step-by-step roadmap that most early retirees followed to put it all together. Their planning wasn't just a vague goal of retiring early. It was a sequence. First, they targeted their savings rate based on their goal. They knew that 33 times number of their expenses and worked backwards to figure out what percentage of their income they needed to save to get there. Second, they ran retirement simulations. They worked with a financial advisor to model different scenarios. What happens if the market returns are lower? What happens if inflation's higher than we expected? And third, they adjusted their goals based on those simulations. This process turns a fuzzy dream into a very concrete mathematical plan that can easily be executed. A huge roadblock for anyone wanting to retire before 59 and a half is that 10% early withdrawal penalty on your retirement accounts. But successful early retirees plan for this. The three most common strategies were the Rule of 55, Roth conversion ladders, and the 72T distribution program. Planning around these rules helps avoid those early withdrawal penalties if you have to access those tax-deferred accounts early. And finally, the elephant in the room for every early retiree: healthcare. You can't get on Medicare until you get to 65 years old. So how do you bridge that gap? They plan for it meticulously. The most common paths were COBRA, Affordable Care Act marketplace plans, and using their health savings accounts. Solving the healthcare puzzle is non-negotiable, and doing so builds massive confidence in the plan that you created so you can execute it. So now that you've seen what they believed, how they've saved, and the steps they followed, the last piece is knowing where to begin. So let me show you exactly how you can implement this advice into your own retirement plan. This can feel like a lot of information, but getting started is simpler than you think. It comes down to a few key actions. The very first step is to get an accurate picture of your annual expenses. You can't build a plan if you don't know what your life costs. Track your spending for a few months using an app or a simple spreadsheet. This number is the foundation of everything else we're going to talk about. Now that you have that number, apply the 33 times rule. Multiply your projected annual expenses by 33. This is your target nest egg. It might seem huge and intimidating, but now you have a concrete goal that you can work towards. You can see how much you have now, how much you still need, and start adjusting your savings in your timeline so you can close that gap. This clarity is the power to accomplish your goal. And finally, understand that starting early gives you the most powerful force in finance: time. Every dollar you save and invest today is worth far more than a dollar you save 10 years from now, thanks to compounding. Small adjustments you make now, like automating an extra 2% into your 401k, reevaluating a one-time major expense, can have a massive impact on your final number and your actual retirement date. Early retirement is often won not by suddenly earning a massive salary, but by starting smarter and earlier. So there you have it. The mindset, the financial moves, the step-by-step roadmap that over 1,000 successful early retirees use to retire before age 62. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's about intentionality, flexibility, and having a clear, actionable plan that you can execute. Now that you understand these proven strategies, you can implement these same approaches to accelerate your own retirement timeline. If you want help creating a personalized early retirement plan based on these proven strategies, click the link in the description to fill out my questionnaire, and I'll send you a video analyzing your specific situation and showing you exactly how to optimize your retirement plan. And with that, I will see you on the next one.